Hey guys, it's Jeff from RenoVision, and today we are going to be testing out 3 different products from Benjamin Moore. We're going to be talking about their price and their washability and their application and putting them through some rigorous testing right here on the job site. All right, so here we go. We got our 3 paints that we're dealing with today. We got the Ben, and this is a basic interior paint. We've got the Regal Select, and this is their premium interior. And then we've got the Aura paint. This line came out a few years ago, and in the world of paint, it's relatively new. When it first came out, it even said, hey, no back rolling with this paint. Doesn't have that on the label anymore. Maybe they ran into problems and fixed it. If you know, let us know in the comments section. But we're gonna treat all of them exactly the same. We're gonna apply them. We're gonna check out the splattering. You know, does it work clean? That's a really big, important question. We're gonna check out the application. What's the coverage like? What's the sheen like? How smooth is the wall? Like, does it look really sexy when it's on the wall, right? We need to know. And then we're also gonna let all this sit and cure for a couple of weeks so we can come back, and at the end of this video, we're gonna do the washability test. Let's face it, as a homeowner, you wanna know, if I can get the kind of performance that I'm looking for out of a $70 can, why am I spending 110 bucks, right? You don't want to have a fear-based decision. You want to have knowledge in your noggin so you can pick the right paint for you. So we're going to just jump right in here and get this done. First off, let's deal with the Ben. What we want to do here, I bought this a couple days ago. We'll give it a quick little shake. We want to open this up and find out what's on the label, first of all. It just says effortless application. It's going to be beautiful. It's interior paint, right? There's no claim here outside of that. It does say it's paint and primer in one. And again, I'm gonna go on record. I don't understand why you have to have primer in a gallon of paint. I think it's all just marketing. Let me know if you have an opinion. And that's the color we're painting today, boys. It's gonna be purple. We are gonna do a series of paint tests over the next few weeks. And this one is really designed as a contrast to the yellow, testing coverage. There we go. And that comes out of the can real nice. Now, yeah, that's really low odor. Not bad. Guys, you know, when you're dealing with paint, one of the things we're dealing with is VOCs, volatile organic compounds. So we want to know, right? Hey, if I paint with this paint, is it gonna make the house smell? Do I gotta go away to the hotel for the weekend? These are good questions to ask. Benjamin Moore has a little marketing program. They try to make sure that all of their paints are under a certain level. The government's involved now. They're mandating these things. So there should be under 50 parts per million, whatever it is. None of the Benjamin Moore paints, however, claim to be VOC free. And we'll see in our future videos that there are paints out there that do have that claim. Why is that important, you might ask? VOCs are volatile organic compounds, and they can actually make you real sick. And they're very harmful to pregnant women. Done, here we go. Takes a minute, okay? You really want to be able to make sure that when you're looking at the roller, you can't see the microfiber roller. You want to have it saturated. Now, for the purpose of the test, every cage is the same. Every roller is a 15 mil. That's what I like to paint with, so that's what I like to test. I love the 15 because it carries enough paint that you can get some good coverage. All right, here we go. We're also checking to see the splatter, right? That's why I bought new shoes for today, guys. I want to know, at the end of the day, is there any of this paint landing on my feet? Not a single drip, not a single drop, not a single fleck of paint, okay? This stuff works really clean. That is awesome. There's not a single drop on the tarp. Wow, that's impressive, okay? And this is their basic paint. Now, when we paint, we always paint in the direction of the cage. This is high pressure, this is low pressure, okay? And we'll start somewhere around 3/4 up. Here we go. And then we'll do what's called back rolling, which is spreading the paint around, okay? Here we go. Now this particular paint, gonna have to do 2-coat coverage. That's very normal. Now once we get this on the wall, we'll be able to let this dry for a couple of hours.
come back for the second coat. We're going to sand in between the coats, of course. And then we're going to be able to have a better understanding of the quality of the application. Here we go. Well, there's number one. Initial, right out of the gate. Low VOCs, great workability, goes on nice and smooth. I don't see any drips or lines or anything going on. And it didn't make a mess at all, okay? So right away, that's awesome. Now, there we go. Again, gotta love the purple. Now this is the premium interior paint, okay? Yeah, now that's got a little bit more VOC action. Right off the top. Got a second sniff there for good measure. But again, not that bad, okay? So if you're sensitive to that sort of thing, just make sure you're paying a time of year you can leave a window open. You should be fine. Again, paint and primer in one. All of these are eggshell as well, so it's very consistent. The difference here is that this one claims to be superior because it's got a washability technology. So we're going from 70 up to $95 a gallon for the sake of washability. Okay, here we go. Let's load it up. It'll be a little violent, and you can see, same as the other paint, no splatter. Yeah, you gotta love it. There's a reason they rank number 2 on the list for most trusted paint brands in America. Oddly enough, people that won that battle is Behr Paint, and we all know what I think about them. And if you don't know my opinion on that paint, then you can always watch the video where I compared all those Behr lines. Put a link in that video description for you. Here we go. Okay, so this is washable. Great. The question is, can it go on and look silky smooth, right? And if you're in a business where you need to be able to have a washable paint, like you got young kids and you got the crayon monsters, and washability is an important factor for you, then like I said, we're gonna do the test at the end of this video. We're gonna get some crayon, we're gonna get some coffee, we're gonna get some red wine, right? We're gonna have a little bit of fun and see how well these wash off. So right out of the gate, low VOC, application's good, back roll nice, no drips. It looks like it's gonna be drying on real smooth. That's kind of fun. All right, no big surprise, right? I mean, after all, this is Benjamin Moore. They've been around for like a couple hundred years. You're in the paint business that long, you should be able to make a gallon of paint that works, right? Here we go. Whew. Okay, this one's much higher in the VOCs. Yeah, that one, if you've got sensitivity, guys, you might want to consider a respirator. Wow, okay, that still meets the minimum, eh? Hey, I didn't make it. I didn't claim it was the best. It's just the most expensive thing on the shelf, so I thought we'd try it out. See, what's all the fuss, right? Here we go. Well, let's let this one loaded up. Do the splatter test here. Yeah, this one actually has a little bit of splatter mark on it. Okay, not dramatic, but it's not as clean. Let's get this on the wall and see what it looks like. Now this paint here comes in at a whopping price of 115 bucks. And you know, there's always going to be somebody who wants to buy the most expensive paint on the shelf just so they can go to the tea party and brag about how they used Aura paint. But we're not here to brag about the paint. We're here to find out if this performs better than other paints. All right. Now, what I'm looking for here is actually looking for texture. It looks like I might have put too much paint on the wall. That's not fair. Let me just back roll this a little bit again. There we go, that's better. Oh, and real quick, before we jump into the sanding, let's take a look here. If you're watching from the camera's position, you might be like, wow, that's great coverage. Is that a one coat paint? And the answer is obviously not. All of these, you can see the need for a second coat, okay? Just wanted to point that out. Don't get it in your mind, all right? Behr is the only one, to my knowledge, that has a one coat paint. And there's a reason for it, because it doesn't go on smooth and sexy like this. All right, guys, well, here we are. It's been about an hour and a half. We're gonna call it 2-hour recoat time. And I like to be aggressive here because in my experience, that's how long it takes to paint the room the first coat. And listen, the reason they tell you 2 to 4 hours before a recoat is because there's still a lot of homes out there that have got oil paint on the wall. And if you've got oil paint and then you put a transition primer and then you're using this product, what you're gonna find is that because the paint can only dry into the air in the room, your relative humidity, time of year, is the furnace currently operating or is the AC blaring, things that keep it dry, okay, really impacts on the drying time. But if you're latex on drywall or latex on latex, 1 hour, all right? In the world of Jeff, 1 hour and you're good to go. You can trust it. All right, now we're gonna sand and we'll see how well the paint holds up. There's gonna be some issues because this is an old wall. Yeah, see? Here, right away. All right, now, there's nothing on that, okay? But I got rid of all these bumps. I got a couple of streaks out of the paint. And we got this one. Same kind of thing. This is why we sand in between coats though, okay? Yeah, so now we're starting to pick up a little bit of purple on there. The reason we sand in between coats is to make sure the wall is smooth, okay? So you're gonna have the same issue. So before you even paint at all, give your walls a sand so that these little bumps aren't sitting there and you'll have less and less problems as you move forward. Okay. There we go. Yep, there we go. So all three of them sand exactly the same. We've already got paint in the tray. This is a Sims liner cover. If you've got to go away for a while, especially if you're on the second floor of a house, if you're in the basement, paint in the tray doesn't dry very fast at all. It's very cold down there, right? Most of the time, but if you're anywhere else where there's forced air moving around, things are drier, get one of these lids because you don't want your paint to get a skin on it. Half a gallon of paint sitting in there, it's worth 50 bucks. And you don't want to have to go buy another gallon because it got all full of junk and now you can't make a nice finished surface. So invest a couple bucks in some plastic, protect your job. All right, here we go, second coat. And what we're gonna find here is that the coverage is gonna be phenomenal, first of all. All right. Here we go. Now, I misrepresented the Ben product line earlier. I did a little research because it smelled so good when I opened it up, and I said it was very low VOC. The truth of it is the Ben product line, the cheapest of the three, has 0 VOC until you add the colorant. Now, there's a little bit of a smell, but hardly any. That's probably just from the colorant. So if you're looking for a 0 VOC option, this is a good one. Over here, I stretched the paint out really good because I'm testing the coverage. But when we sanded, we didn't hit any ridges, right? Some paints aren't very good, and when they go on, they leave ridges. And then when you sand the ridge off. This case, it looks really, really good. Here we go. And we're not going to be over aggressive with the spreading out the paint. I'm going to give it a fair shake here. We're covering a bigger area here than we are normally going to do with a single roller, so. Here we go. Now, some of the paint technology that they're using out there nowadays in the marketplace is an ability for the paint to like sprawl on the wall, okay? So if you have a clump of paint on the wall, it'll go and it'll sprawl out. It's like a magnetic attraction to the other molecules around it. It's brilliant. And it helps make sure you get a really smooth surface. Okay, so first let's get my my painter reaction to all three of these on the second coat. All right? Because this is the money right here. Okay, coverage, no problems. All three of these paint cover amazing. Okay? They all have a nice smooth finish, hardly any texture. You can look down the side and you see the little bit of a surface on it, a little bit of an eggshell, but that's the point. We bought eggshell, so we want to see that. There's gonna be a little bit of a glare. We're gonna let this dry. We're gonna stain it, and then we're gonna do the washability test. All right, guys, well, as promised, it's been a couple of weeks. We're back to take a look at this paint job because now it's cured, right? Now we're gonna do the stain testing. We're gonna do some rigorous testing. We're gonna find out what the heck happens to these walls when they are used and abused by all of everyday occurrences that happen in life. So some of you are gonna be with the children in mind, right? So we've got some crayons and markers and stuff. And some of us, we're gonna have wild parties, and so we're gonna throw some wine on the wall. And some of us are just gonna be enjoying our morning coffee, and one of your kids is gonna come walking up behind you, scare the living hell out of you. What the heck happened here? So the first thing we're gonna test is these crayons. I don't know, all right? So we're gonna put a little bit of crayon on each of these sections here, and we'll test that all up. All right, and maybe we can get a color that we can actually see up. Wow, you can't even, there's some yellow. Okay, that's a little bit easier for the camera to pick up. All right. Yeah, got all them wild animals at home, eh? All right. And then we've also got the markers. Now these again, they're called washable markers. I don't know how effective that's gonna be, guys. But we'll put the marker on top. All right, and we'll give that a minute to really soak in. And we'll see if the paint has a barrier so that this can't penetrate it and leave it marked. Okay? I mean, really this comes down to, it's a combination of what paint with what kind of problems you're gonna face and what kind of issues you're gonna run into is a good combination. Because let's face it, if the cheapest paint out of the three that looks exactly like the other two is good enough to fence with washable crayons and markers and you're not having crazy parties, it might be good enough for you, you can save yourself 40 bucks a gallon. And of course I would be remiss if I didn't pull out the old permanent marker. Now, if you remember, we did a video and we tested out all of the Behr paints, and they claim to have a stain blocker capacity, so we put the marker on first. But in this case, these paints all claim to be able to be stain resistant, okay? And so we'll see if permanent marker works. All right, here we go. All right, and if you come home after a long day's work and you found your kids marking up all your walls, you're gonna need one of these, right? But the other thing is you might be having some friends over and somebody just walks away and trips and it's all over the wall, huh? All right, so let's, there we go. So now we've set the stage. I love having a house that I can just destroy making videos. We've set the stage. We've got wine, we've got coffee, we've got crayons, markers, permanent markers. Now we're gonna start cleaning it off on all three of these using some of the mildest scrubs and mildest solutions, and we'll work our way up the scale to find out if even the most difficult stains can be removed. Okay, so the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna test out just regular warm water and a clean rag, all right? And we're gonna see how resistant this stuff is to absorbing it into the wall. All right, now this is the coffee and the wine. Yeah, you can see it's coming off. Ooh, wow, okay. Yeah, so you can obviously see that all these streaks, this is where this coffee or the wine or both are actually absorbing into the wall paint, okay? That's a problem, all right? Now maybe it's not a problem if you've got a dark blue, but let's see if this is any different. No, it's all exactly the same. All the same effect. Wow, fascinating. All right, So now the question is, how does that look when it gets dry? Because in a lot of cases, maybe the moisture has gone through, but all those additives and the dyes are sitting on the surface. We're just not sure. So let's let that dry. We'll deal with the other little tests first. We're going to deal with the crayon and just with the rag. And we'll see if that wipes off. Yep. Wow. And it doesn't leave any residual mark. That's the most expensive paint. That's great to know. And here's the other one. This is the, wow, but it leaves a little bit of a residue behind. You can tell where the crayon was. We'll have to wait and see how that dries. And here's the least expensive paint. This is the Ben. Again, washes off no problem. That actually performed better than this one. This one doesn't leave any residue. Huh. Let's go to the marker. Washable marker. Okay. Again, yep, it's all gone. So it looks like these products are performing according to what they say anyway. That's good to know. All right, and then just water. We're not even trying with the cleaner yet. That has some residue. Okay, just a tiny little bit, maybe a little bit of a elbow grease in there. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so now we know. So now if you're a parent out there and you're wondering about your paint, if you get these washable crayons and markers, you're good to go. But what if your kids get in the office and grab that permanent marker? This is where the test comes. Does this wipe off just with water and a rag and elbow grease? No, sir. Well, I wouldn't expect it to work anywhere else. Nope. Bled right in. Okay, so there we go. Now we know. Just don't buy permanent markers. I'll put a lock on the office door. You're going to be okay. So, regardless of your paint, if you get marker on it, you're repainting, right? Unless one of my other solutions works. I've got a few different cleaning products here. Let's try some bleach cleaner. Let's try some magic erasers and see if we get any better performance. So we're going to try Dawn Power Wash. Basically works against grease. Expect that to work really well with the crayons. The bathroom, this is, let's throw the, is there an English side? No, it's all mixed in. Clorox. Clorox is a bleach company, guys. Okay, so this will be a bleach spray. We'll see if that bleaches out. And I've also got this product called Lift Off, and it claims to get rid of marker. And this just happened, so if there's any time to get rid of a marker, it's right away. So let's get on to this. I'm gonna try right over here first. Okay, this is the coffee and the wine. We're gonna see if this does a better job. Again, we won't even know until it's all dry, so we'll have to take a look later. Right out of the gate, that looked like it did a really good job. And I don't see too many of those streaks. Very cool. All right, we'll try it up here now. And we'll try it on that marker. You can see it dissolving that crayon right out of the way. Wow. All right. Now this is just Dawn. This is not a harsh chemical. This is just an everyday kitchen cleaner. And it's not taking that marker out. It's leaving a line. Okay. Try this coffee and wine. Same spot. See how that works. Okay. All right, for the record, I still see the marker on that wall. And that was the washable marker. There's still a residue. Huh. And then here, and then here. Okay, I still see a bit of the coffee and wine drip lines. We'll see if that dries out. And then here. Not touching that permanent marker. Still leaves a bit of a residue on that non-permanent marker, and the crayon comes off automatically. Interesting. So now we got to find out what kind of cleaner is it going to take to get rid of that permanent marker. Because this is my Ben, this is my Regal Select, and this is the most expensive. The Aura Paint cleans the marker. Just with soap and water, a little bit of mild detergent. So let's up the game here, bring out the bleach. Okay. Okay, now, we're gonna bleach this side, and we'll bleach this side, and then we'll go up the middle with the other cleaner. Wow. That looks perfect. Except you'll see, that took some of the paint off. Okay? Yeah. And this is ultimately going to be the problem that we face with the bleach. Let's get a clean part of the rag. It does a great job of the cleaning, but it takes off the paint. All right? So in this case, if you have to go to bleach, maybe you're going to get spots on your wall. Yeah, so that again, that worked on both of the markers, but not the permanent. And this for sure is going to remove paint as well. Even cured paint wipes off with bleach. So that's not a solution that any of us are going to be happy with. Yeah, no change. Okay. So the only other option that we got, well, let me just skip that. Okay. So there's no change in how much it cleans. This actually cleaned up perfectly already, just with the warm water and with mild detergent, and it didn't discolor anything. But this again is pulling the paint off. Ay, ay, ay. All right. And we'll try one more. Try to see if this gets rid of that permanent marker. Okay. Now it's dissolving the marker. You can see that. But what I want to do is get a nice new rag and see if it takes the paint off. Okay. Now this is within 10 minutes of this getting on the wall. And yes, it's working. But you also are going to have to paint your wall again. So, I mean, for me and my money, just because it lifts off, because you now are going to create a white spot in your paint, you're going to have discoloration, you're going to be forced to do another coat of paint. Now maybe this is better, right? If you can get all the marker off, and then you grab a can of paint and you do one cut and one roll to do a refinish on this, you'll be all right. Yeah, it works. It takes it off. And it works the same on all three paints. So interestingly enough, let's just do a recap. What we've learned here, now that this is all drying up, we'll double check. Yeah, the original location of the coffee and the wine, both of them came off. Both of them came off. This is still a little streaky. Huh. Okay, so let's recap. Coffee and wine stains off the Regal Select and off the Aura, they came out without any streaks. On the Ben, it left streaks, okay? On the Ben, the crayon came out with just regular mild detergent, and the marker left a little bit behind, a little residue. Regardless, anything to take out that permanent marker at this point in the game, forget it, you're repainting your wall. That's the truth of all of them, okay? So, if you got kids, and you're gonna use crayons and markers, okay? And you're gonna give them the free rein in the house to go be wild and creative, stay away from the Ben, because it doesn't come out, all right? Jump up to Regal Select or to the Aura. And for everything else, the Regal Select and the Aura, even the coffee and the wine came out with mild detergent. Okay, so this is still a great paint, still great coverage, still has a great look to it, a great feel to it. But in the world of maintenance, if you're going to be dealing with these kinds of issues, you're going to want to step up. Okay, so you can save your money if you got a nice, comfortable, relaxed household. But if your house is wild like mine was when I was young with 4 kids, you're going to want to spend a little bit more money, get a little more protection. But honestly, at the end of the day, I don't see any different in the performance of the paint, the look of the paint, the coverage of the paint, anything between this one and this one. So it's up to you. In my opinion, if you want to buy Aura, you're just spending more money to get the exact same performance as you would from the Regal Select. And the Regal Select outperforms as far as cleanability of the pen, but in every other aspect, all three are exactly the same. Cheers.